everybody, this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com. I have a question for you. Have you ever thought that you were really onto something innovative and you were so excited about it, only to find out that it really wasn't all that innovative? It's actually been being done and you didn't realize it? Well, come back and I'll show you how that happened to me. Okay, so we are back, and tonight we are not actually going to be making a card, but we are going to go through some basics of a card, and then I will show you a series of cards that I made for gifts and what I plan to do with them. So I am in the middle of a huge project where I'm making a bunch of cards, and I wanted to make cards for kids that they could color themselves or paint or use markers or whatever medium they wanted to use, and then either hand give them to their grandparents or aunts or uncles or whomever, or they could mail them. So I really didn't want your standard A2 size card that we use all the time. I wanted something smaller for smaller kids, and so I thought, well, we'll just do 4x4 cards. Well, then I started realizing how those envelopes are going to get quite expensive for as many as I needed to make. I think by the time I was said and done, I made well over 100 cards. I think it was over 120 cards. So I thought, man, those envelopes are going to get really expensive. And then I found out that you're really not supposed to mail 4x4 cards in a regular envelope, and it just messes with me to put them in a bigger envelope. So I thought, well, that's not going to work. And so then I had this idea. What if I just got simple, regular letter size envelopes like what we all used to use back in the day when we were young? And I was like, that would really work. So I ordered some envelopes, added them to my grocery list, and grabbed some envelopes, and then I decided on what size card I was going to make. So I got to looking at it, and I came up that the size card, this envelope is 3.63 inches wide by 6.5 inches tall. So I was like, okay, if I did a 6-inch card, if I was doing 12-inch paper, then I could get a couple out of it. If I did a normal proportion to fit in there, I would do more like a 6.25 inch card, but that's really using a lot of paper. So I was like, nope, we're going to make 6-inch by 3.5 inch cards. Perfect. They fit perfectly. Everything's great. I put them all away, and just recently I went into my drawer. I was replenishing my stash of card bases. So I went into my drawer and I found these envelopes I had purchased for mini Slimline cards. They're the same envelopes, folks. So much for my great innovation. Now, I will tell you that this still is going to work for my project, because obviously as many cards as I was going to need, the envelopes alone would get a little pricey if I had just used my stash of envelopes, whereas these, I think this was $1 a box or something like that. So I'm going to show you how I best figured out the better savings of paper that I could use. Now, I will tell you that this is such an odd size that there is some paper waste. So when I make my card bases, I typically make them out of 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. Well, for this size card, you can only get one out of here. So you just have to recognize that there's going to be some waste, but you can use the other side for die cuts. You could use the other side for the inserts if you were layering your cards. So I don't think the paper's ever a waste, but you're definitely not going to get two out of this. I also made some of them out of 12-inch paper, which is also why I went ahead and went down to the 6-inch size, because if I did 6.5 inches or 6.25 inches, I still would only get one out of a 12-inch card, and that is just crazy to me. I did not want to waste all of that card. I know, again, it's not a waste, but that's still a lot of scraps. So this is what I did. Took my paper cutter, and you can cut at 7 inches. your first cut's going to be at 7 inches. That's going to be the width of your card. So if you cut that at 7 inches, just like that, and then if you turn it and cut it at 6 inches, so now I have two 6 by 7 inch pieces of cardstock. We're just going to set that aside. I'm going to do the same thing with my white. So that gives me a piece here that's going to be 5 inches wide and the full 12. So that's a pretty nice piece of paper that I could use for something else. I'm just not going to be able to make a whole card base out of it or anything like that. Although, honestly, at 5 inches, you actually could make an A2 size card, because if I went here, now that I'm thinking about that, and turn that into 4 1/4, and then make this 8 1/2, I do have what would be a long card. Oops, I don't know what I just did. I've got another one here. So let's take 2. So if we did this a 4 1/4, this is the beauty of live, seeing me do it live as I'm thinking instead of pre-planning it. I need to do this at 11 inches, not 8 1/2. So then really, when it's all said and done, that's all of the extra waste that you have, and you have a nice base here that you will have a normal A2 size card. When you fold it this way, it'll just be a top folding card, or it will be kind of a long folding card. So really, using a 12 inch, you could get 2 of your mini Slimlines and 1 A2 size card out of it and have very little waste. So there's the tip for that. Now on using your 8 1/2 by 11 paper, I felt like, I mean, there's a couple of different ways you could do this. I felt like for me, if I took it on the 8 1/2 inch side and cut that down to 7 inches, then, and I honestly don't worry as much about white. And because I was doing this one for kids, I also was not using my expensive card stock for card bases. I was using the cheap stuff. But I have this piece that I can either toss or save for sentiments. I've got a lot of this, so I'll probably just toss that one. And then, so that one was the 7 inch. So this one I'm going to cut to 6. And so then I have a pretty nice piece here. Again, it's not enough to really make a card out of, but you could definitely use it for a card front if you were doing a layered card or something like that. So we have all of our bases here. So you see I've got 3 actual bases that are 6 inches wide by 7 inches tall. So all I need to do then to finish up my Slimline card is to get this out. We're going to set this at set this on so that your width, the 7 inches, is going across, and you're going to cut this at 3 1/2. Now on my Martha Stewart, or not cut but score. So on my Martha Stewart scoreboard, I have the mini one that I use most often when I'm scoring card bases. I have the big one, but I use this one the most. But it actually has a mark here that says, let me turn it. It actually says 4 bar here, because this is a 4. I guess 4 bar is mini. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But there's my card base, and we'll go ahead and do this with the pink that I had made out of my out of that 12-inch paper. Because I will tell you, after I was making this series of cards, and like I said, I made like over 100, and I think it was over 120 of them, I decided I really love this size for things. I even was thinking, I have a bill that I need to pay that I actually have to mail, and I was like, that would be really cute, and it's a simple card. I can throw the bill in, or the check in, and leave a little note to the person that I'm sending it, and there I've got my mini card. So I don't know exactly what size mini Slimline cards are, but I know that this size will fit directly inside my envelope. There'll be a little bit from end to end. You know, you've got probably 1/4 of an inch, maybe almost a 1/2 inch there. I guess it would be a 1/2 inch, but it's perfect for what I wanted to do. Nothing fancy about these envelopes, and of course you could always buy nicer envelopes, but for this project I didn't need that. So what about your dimensions on top? Well, it depends on what you're doing. For a lot of the cards that I'm going to show you, I wanted them so simple that this was it. This was the card. And I did my image and my sentiment, so it was good to go. For some of them, I did go ahead and layer, and we'll talk about those when we come to them. So let's get into the cards. So I have to say this is probably one of the easiest sets of 120 cards that I made once I figured out what I was doing, because I didn't color them. I didn't put embellishments on them. I made them really simple because I wanted kids to be able to color them. So this, I'm going to start with the simplest of them. So this is one, it's a truck that I just stamped on in simple black archival ink and then stamped on "Have a Great Day." And I did put that in color, but now they can color the truck. Now, if it were me, if it were you, you would probably do it in green, or maybe you might do it in red, but they can choose whatever color they want because they're kids and they get to do that. This one, oh, that one we're going to come back because I did embellish that one. This is one that I did where I took a blue card base, simple card base, just like I did with the pink one, and then I stamped my images on white. So the inside of this white, this one would be, so if we were at 3.5, so it would be cut at 3¼ inches wide by 5¾ inches long. Again, simple 4 little stamps and they're good to go. Now whoever gets this can color it. Now I will tell you that these images that I don't have great images for your little tiny kids that need bigger, bolder images. I just didn't have that many of those. But for, you know, probably your preschool, they could probably do this. Of course, any toddler could do it too. They just are going to probably not be able to get as intricate, obviously, with it because they're toddlers, right? It doesn't matter. It's what it's all of. It's not about how well they color. It's about giving them the opportunity to be creative. This is another one. "You Are Special to Me" was the sentiment I chose with that. Again, stamp it down, stamp the sentiment. We're done. Easy as that. This is a 6-card series. This is the only one I embellished. And I do like this one, "Sweet as a Cupcake." It was a little bit too blank for me, and so I went ahead and put this little piece of glitter tape on it, and then they can color their cupcake whatever color they want. Again, really generic. I didn't want to do birthdays or anything because I want them to be able to give these to whoever they wanted. The next one, this is my favorite one, and honestly I think I'm going to make a bunch of these for me because I really am trying to send more cards. And I just love how nice this one turned out. Super simple. 3 stamps, 1, 2, 3, and I'm done. I could color my paper airplane if I wanted to, but I just like the simplicity of that. And I've got plenty of real estate on the inside to write a quick note or letter, just to tell somebody I'm thinking about them. Love this card. And like I said, I'm going to be making a lot of these just for me. And then this is the most intricate one I made, and I thought it was too cute and too fun. So I had this polka dot, it's a Disney themed paper, and so again, this is 5¾ by 3¼ Now the inside, I didn't actually measure that. Let's measure it and see. I wanted lots of the polka dots to show, so it's a little bit smaller than I would typically layer because I really wanted the polka dots to show. So this one's actually coming up at about 5 inches wide by 2½ inches tall, which was plenty of room for my little bear, and then I did a coordinating red for my sentiment. So super simple. So again, I didn't spend a lot of time on these. I didn't spend a lot of money on these, but I am providing kids with ways to let their creativity go and learn how important it is to send that little note to somebody. And I'm just super excited about this project. So I hope that encourages you to try Mini Slimline. If you want to get real dimensions instead of, you know, my made up ones based on my envelopes, that's great. I'm sure you can find them all over the place. But for me, this really works to just let somebody enjoy the little things. So thanks so much for taking the time to watch this. Get out there, create, get your kids creating, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, whoever you have the ability to help touch their lives and getting them using their creativity. Who knows, maybe next year they'll want to make the cards themselves, not just color them. So thanks so much for stopping by today, and remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye.